The date is August 2nd, 2026, and I talked about wanting to end my life, but I never knew why I wanted to end it. And I stumbled upon an old lecture from Carl Jung that completely explained the issues that I was facing, and I now believe that the way to deal with wanting to end your life is to understand psychologically and deeply rooted in your consciousness why you want to end it. So, to start off with a little disclaimer, I don't want someone to come to this video and hope to find an answer when the topic of the desire to end your life that I'm talking about is a very specific set that applies to me, and it may not apply to other people. They may not have this psychological issue or so on. So just want to say that if anyone is disappointed. So I want to start off by reading a piece from one of Carl Jung's lectures, 1931. I remember a case of a girl about 25 years old who had compulsion neurosis. She proved to be absolutely inaccessible. She lived things, she did things, but she did not know what she was living. I said, "Can't you see what you're doing?" But no, nothing touched her, so she had no real relation to the world at all. She lived in a sort of mist. Finally, I said, "It is no good. I cannot waste my time any longer. If you will not try to see what you are doing, I must give up." A few months later, she shot herself. Since she was a stranger here, I was called in to give evidence. I saw the corpse. She had shot herself through the heart in the street and had not lost consciousness for a minute or two. The expression on her face was completely altered. For a long time, I stood watching her face and asking myself, what kind of expression is that? It was the most extraordinary. The expression of someone who was convinced, say, that a thing was black, and to whom it is very important that it was black, but to whom had one finally proved that it was red. And now it was as if she suddenly realized it was red. It was a look of bewilderment and a sort of pleasant surprise. I saw what had happened. At the moment when she shot herself, she understood what life meant for the first time. And that hit harder than anything I have ever read before. When I would try to end things, the next morning I would wake up, feel a bit bad, and then go on living. You can see in my video where I recently tried to end things, and I talk about it, where I did not look upset when I was talking about it. And that is because reality is when you're not living in reality. Sometimes reality is really hard, and sometimes that's why you want to end things. But when you are not in reality, when you are living in a mist or in your head, and you go into a position where you can't live your life, and it's like you're disconnected from everything that you do, and you're not living, you're just there. And it seems like the only way to escape that is to end it. And once you try to end your life, you can enter this state of where you can actually appreciate life how it is. And of course, I don't think I had it as severely as this girl in the story, because I can do things like pull myself back into reality by, going for cold swims at the beach where I would jump in the water, and I'm very scared of sharks and stingrays and jellyfish, so I'm scared I'm gonna die, and then the adrenaline's hitting from really cold winter beach water, and then it kind of brings me back. But not only can you fantasize about ending your life, but a lot of the times, ending your life is a tool that you hold on to. As Marie-Lou von Franz, someone who worked with Carl Jung, put it, the idea of holding a revolver in the back of your pocket, or leaving a noose in the basement, where you cherish the freedom of your mind, you cherish the freedom of your inner world, and so anything that threatens that, you have an escape card where you can just end your life. And so, first of all, you will always have that freedom, because you can just end your life if you ever lose it. And second, you never have to commit to anything, because you're always having that backup plan. And that describes 90% of my life. I didn't want to go to university, but if I see something I want to avoid more, I will do it. I will go to university and get a job because there's something I want to avoid. When the way to solve this is to just do something without a backup plan, is to give up the idea of ending your life so you can truly live. And it's definitely easier said than done. And I never tried as much as I have lately to end my life, because I had that backup world, that imagination, that fantasy world that I lived in. And I realized that was unhealthy, so I've started killing that off. And I didn't realize that once I killed that off, it didn't change the habit of wanting to end my life, because I'm not actually living it. It just removed the only thing that was good about not living my life. And now we are in a point in society where when you have this condition, it is reinforced by everything you see online. You see the entire world through your phone, and you think this is what life has, this is what life is. And it gives you a feeling of there is nothing beyond my mental illness. There is nothing beyond where I'm at. I can see the whole world. Okay, it doesn't evoke any feelings. But the only way around that is to actually go into the world, commit to something, and live, which is a lot easier said than done. And yeah. I'm going to start working through that, and I'm going to start taking action to build the life, taking small actions, whereas I'm not trying to bring my fantasy into reality. I'm not trying to, as one would put it, be the hero, because that is what got me in this position, where I just wanted to live a great life. I wanted to be someone people look up to. I wanted the easy way out. I didn't want to go through all the hard stuff. I didn't want to do the easy stuff of going to work every day and working for stuff. I wanted to do the easy way out. And I think that's one of the reasons I left high school. And then when I realized that is not achievable by just taking the easy roads, I feel helpless. And I start living, or maybe before I had my fantasy world where I would live, but now I just have the real world and nothing else. So I start living, as in the story, in this kind of mist where I'm living, but I'm not actually living. And I think that is why I would try to end my life when I take substances, because I can no longer have the brain power to keep myself in this mist. And it's like I'm possessed. And then I wake up screaming. And then I'm like in this state where I can feel all the emotions. I can feel being alive. I can feel all of this stuff. And I just want to end my life before I go back into this state of not living, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I think that understanding that makes it easier for me not to end my life. But I don't know at the moment. I've stopped taking substances. I've stopped doing all the damage. So I'm hoping that understanding this can lead me on the path to building a life that I don't want to end, and giving up the idea of ending my life, giving up the safety net of having the revolver in my back pocket if anything goes wrong, so I never have to commit to anything, so I can always hold that childlike freedom. But yeah, a bit of a depressing video, but I think, or I hope that it'll help some people. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.